tell us about all the different collateral duties you had or different special assignments that you had at Phoenix PD, because I know it's pretty impressive, and oftentimes I'm like, man, I wonder if I could have done that cool stuff if I would have stayed there, So tell us a little bit about what you did besides patrol.
Yes, that's one of the pluses for working for a big department, right? There's a lot of opportunity for advancement or movement around the department. So I knew early on that I wanted to be on the SWAT team, right? Because I grew up playing sports my whole life. That was about the closest thing I could get to being on a team again. Obviously, the consequences are a little bit higher in law enforcement. It's not just about winning and losing. So yeah, early on, I made it a point to kind of move around the department as far as geography was concerned. I wanted to work the north side. I wanted to work the south side. Um, I was able to be a field training officer for a couple of years, and what motivated me to do that, honestly, is uh, some of the FTOs that I saw. Some of the FTOs that had direct influence on me uh, made a positive impression. I'm like, you know what, I want to relay the information I got from them, the stuff that I had learned, onto officers coming on the department, because that happened for me. So I thought that was pretty important to kind of uh, pay it forward, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. And then you
Um,
get to learn what it's like to be essentially a trainer, but rather than training a whole class of cops, you're training one person. But it's a good step in that direction for sure.
yeah, it's kind of like a cross between an English teacher and a coach,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
that's a good analogy.
Yeah. So I got to do that. I was pretty lucky. I enjoyed doing that. I did spend some time at our academy, at our tactical training detail, which is basically responsible for training all the patrol personnel and detectives, various things, building search, less lethal, combative stuff like that. And
Yeah,
that was an interesting experience for sure.
and you guys are having an agency that size. What is? I think I remember like 2,500 cops or something. 2,500 sworn. I don't know.
Yeah. Back in, I'm trying to
It's
access my mind
who
from back
knows
then. I want to
now.
say it was, yeah, in the 2000s.
Okay.
It's a pretty big department at the time.
And with a department that size, you're constantly having to do advanced officer training, right? So like the department I went to in California that I just retired from a couple years ago, we had like 75 sworn, for instance. So we all train like as a group, but with a huge agency like that, you have to have people in those assignments because basically someone's doing advanced officer training of some type virtually all the time, right? Every day.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah.
And again, when your department's that big too, you can they're probably not training enough, right? I think that's the case with most departments, like patrol officers or first responders don't get enough training. And that with Phoenix was the same, right? I think they train once or twice a year, not counting qualification, which probably wasn't enough, but it is what it is at the time.
Yeah.
With the personnel that you
And
had.
the training budget is always the first to go anytime, anytime there's financial issues. So I know you spent a lot of time on the SWAT team there, and you were very passionate about that. Tell us a little bit about how that worked out. Like, how many years did you have on the job when you tested, and kind of what was that process like? And then tell us a little bit about your time as a SWAT guy, and basically you were full time, so you guys were either training or activated all the time, right?
Yeah, so Phoenix SWAT, and it wasn't called SWAT, still
Sure.
not called SWAT, it's called Special Assignments Unit. I think that's the city of Phoenix,
SAE. Yeah.
politically
Yeah.
correct way of saying SWAT
Yep.
team. Um, yeah, there's just like with any department, the SWAT team, everyone kind of looked up to them. Those are the guys that you called when they got really bad. And to me, that was always the goal. Again, that was like the pinnacle of being on a team, and that's what kind of resonated with me throughout my life and my career. So that was always a goal. At the time, Phoenix had 4 full-time teams of about 8 to 9 guys per team. And we had an incident, I'm trying to remember the year, where patrol uh, basically was making a crisis entry and it went pretty bad. And it led to creation of a fifth team to help cover patrol.
Okay.
Um, so I think that was 2005. So I tested for the SWAT team a couple different times, and not knowing the game within the game, and a lot of it
Sure.
was how do I take an oral board? How
Yes,
do I check all the
of course.
boxes? I had no idea. So I was kind of learning and asking questions as I went. So I eventually got on in 2007, and I was part of that fifth team that was created. And it was a operational tempo was busy. It
Yeah,
was
I bet.
crazy.
Well, and
Yeah,
so
and it
you,
was
so you were about a 10-year law enforcement veteran when you got on SWAT.
yeah,
Yeah.
actually, yeah, I think it was 10 years on the dot
Oh,
when
wow.
I finally tested and got on. And that was about average time.
Hmm.
It was about 9 or 10 years. And they wanted folks that were testing to have a little bit more experience than just patrol. So any type of specialty unit, that was always a plus, or detective
Sure. Yeah.
or UC work. I think that's what they were looking for. And I get it. That makes sense. More experience you have going in
Yeah.
um, is going to help you probably.